We'll have to see whether we even get there, though.
Yeah, Reno was kind of forced to get good at these maps because a lot of teams just always took them to strange maps. For some reason, it was always like Hanamura and Volskaya, and then they would take them to Ilios, and it was never really Reunited's choice, but teams just took them there to try to throw a curveball at them. And then early on, Envious was always very weak. Their only weakness, actually, was on King of the Hill maps, especially back when they were IDDQD as a team roster. So teams would always take them there. They started getting good at Lijiang, but Reunited still felt pretty comfortable against them. I don't see a huge bunch of variants here. It looks like we're going to run somewhat standard compositions, although the side of LG does have a Mercy. That's going to be a pivotal hero here.
Yeah, and obviously no Ana. People get sort of confused about seeing Ana picked at the start here. It's actually just so you can get speed. I think that's the way it's done. You can double speed boost going. But nonetheless, fight being taken here by Luminosity over towards the right side here. And Winghaven goes in deep. He almost knocks Ruster off the edge with his jump pack impact. But still, interestingly enough here, we just see Luminosity sort of hurting themselves out into a very small area. A very treacherous place to be kept here now as they're trying to fight back into this one.
Yeah, the Battle of the Stairs looked like it should have gone LG's way. They had positioning there, they got the jump in there, but some nice picks early. Cruz especially taking out his opposing Lucio is a big pick for them. Now it is 3v6. That is firmly in control of Reunited.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting place for Luminosity to take the as well, because you literally have nowhere to go. You either go into the enemy team or you go off the edge in Zave's case. So, yeah, I guess because losing a couple of players early on sort of stalled them out a bit now, that is going to give control straight over towards Reunited. To start with, I think this is really interesting. Kib is playing on the McCree as well. I like this because we were so used to seeing him sort of not really play McCree at all. It was always Valitaj, but because Valitaj wants to play Tracer, this lets Kib play the McCree. Very interesting combo.
Valitaj has fallen out of love with McCree. Like, for the last several months, he's been playing on flexes and different tanks all sorts of times. In motions where it makes sense for him to play McCree, he still doesn't. Kib, though, taking up the banner, takes down 2 really early. That Resurrection's going to undo that.
Really nice stuff from Kib there as well. Now he's busy dueling out with Icefeld in the background, and Zave can't even save him. He's going to fall down now as well, and poor Zave, well, he's going to go off the edge. It's going to be solid holds all around here for Reunited. Valitaj picks up Management off the back of it, and they're going to push forward here. Kib looking very, very good. I actually first-personed him for a little bit of that, and it's quite clear to see the man is very, very good on aim, and not just Genji shurikens.
Zave has to be super frustrated. There's been 2 fights, and he's had to jump off the edge both times. That can't be a fun way to play video games.
Mercy is my opinion, I guess, right now. He's done that as well. He's switched over towards the Zenyatta. Let's see if it works out. It might just be a little bit too late in the piece hex to save this one. You can see that the ultimates were definitely there for Reunited, and they just explode out. They've got 4 more ready to go. And there's just not enough time, really, for Luminosity to wear those down and then have a good fight.
Maybe I missed 1 or 2, but has anyone on LG gotten a kill this game? It has been very, very one-sided. Yeah, like it's pretty much been what, 18-0 for the most part.
Yeah, not been good. Now Manhattan comes in with a Graviton Surge there as well. Caught that one on your screen. We're going to see the Sound Barrier come in as well for Reunited. Try and hold on there. Manhattan gets himself his second though. Unfix goes down, but Kib and Valitaja, they're doing real good work over this fight right now. You can see that Mort struggling to try and keep his healing over the rest of his team. He almost gets knocked off in Transcendence form, but he stays alive. Still knocked right in towards the back line of the enemy team now. It's Ruster and Manhattan chiming in, getting the work done. And again, he will eventually have to fall down. Mort, that is, of course, will die. Kib pushes on towards the point there, but has to deal with Ruster first, and perfect little stuttering in and outside of Ruster's shield to keep him safe from Peacemaker's shots.
Ruster's been playing really well, and I think it goes back to even the first fight. Ruster jumped in, got some positioning. They wanted him to get a really early pick. That's why you aggress on the stairs in the manner in which they did, but he was unable to take down any of the back line. But now, coming to life, gets LG in position to maybe flip this map around, but they can't lose a single fight the rest of the stage.
Margin of error, nil for them at this stage. A couple of ultimates starting to come online for Reunited. They did burn through a lot of those earlier on. Manhattan, though, has another Graviton Surge, and he's positioned to use it well. He's going to let it go now as well. This is great. This is buying time. This is the buffer that Luminosity gaming needs. Zave gets one towards Unfix and Winghaven as well. An easy wipe here for Luminosity, and they can sit back and relax for just a moment. They're going to be coming into the next fight with a Dragon Blade and a Transcendent, so they really need to stagger and stretch these ultimates out over multiple fights to make sure they always have them.
Yeah, they flipped it around pretty nicely. However, Reunited should be well served in just trying to get some spam in, because Cruz and Unfixed are so close to their ults. So is Valitaja. It's going to be a Q battle here momentarily.
Managing going in there as well, and we can see that the Dragon Blade coming out here. Winghaven falls early on that fight. Not what you want there if you're Reunited, and the Transcendence is just going to keep the momentum going for Luminosity. Ruster picks up Unfixed, and then Kip falls to Icefeld. Perfect little finish to the fight, and a safe cleanup on the backside now is starting to put Luminosity within spitting distance of that 99% total.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be a good fight for Reunited if they just junk rush it, but Cruz did end up using a sound barrier in there, so Unfixed and Volataja are the ones with the ults up. They can hit this Wombo combo. McCree comes up too as well for his Deadeye. We'll see if they can nail these combinations.
And we see Graviton Surges coming out from both sides, or at least just the one. Unfixed still holding onto his for the moment now. The Transcendence will let Reunited get into position, and then they can play off the back of that with some of these Wombo ults. Sani is caught, that's not where he wants to be. He gets shielded and is able to back away, but Kiba and Valitaja fall to Ruster. The man getting so much work done on that outside point. Perfect place to have the Primal Rage, and Reunited couldn't do a thing about it.
Ruster's just playing phenomenally. He did it last set, he's doing this set. He is out of his mind, especially on his Winston play. He put them in good positions to win fights, and now they're at 99. Is anyone even going to be able to stall this out? It looks like a barely stall out from Valitaja at the end.
That's right, they're going to jump on in towards this one. Unfixed gets caught. He actually uses the Graviton Surge early to get on there. Kib can only plug away with the Peacemaker at distance, but Sani picks him up there. He gets stunned, but still got the kill. Now, Winghaven has to jump on towards this point. It's overtime ticking down, and this is going to get that much less forgiving here for Reunited as we go. Graviton Surge used. That'll catch Cruz, and that's it. Perfect retake from Luminosity. Once they gain control, they refuse to give it up.
That was 99-0 at one point in time. They finally entered the ultimate stage of the game, were able to bring it back, and let's just highlight Ruster. Just what a game he had. Positioning battles, he was on top of everything, never punished by any sort of the DPS on the side of Reunited, and now they're going to switch to Reaper because they know Ruster's been the problem.
It's so, yeah, well, exactly. It's so funny as well that we see Zave play at Mercy for what, 1, 2, 3 fights almost, and at least finally there was the change, and you could see how impactful that change was. Zave featured on that kill feed so many times. It's important to remember that this guy who is ranked very, very highly as well. He plays like Cruz, not support in solo queues, so you can see what he can do with that hero. And now we're going to be going on towards Village. An interesting point, of course, I guess, when you add the verticality aspect in, but I mean, Reunited have got to be seething after that last round.
That cannot feel good, but the verticality, as you mentioned, is going to be why both teams are running Genji here so that they can run Icefeld and Valataja trade kills early, but as Reunited cleaning up as the supports chime in, both Cruz and Morte take down a couple. This should be Reunited's fight.
Generally speaking, yes, we can see the Genji now being forced to back away. That was Sani trying to get away. That point now being active, and it's going to be taken by Cruz. He doesn't necessarily need to be a part of this fight. He's going to be joined by Valitaja to start things off. And getting the first point isn't really the issue for Reunited. It's maintaining control. It can be a long haul to try and hang on for, like one of those missions in FPS games where you have to hold out till reinforcements come. They've got to make these ultimates work for them.
The dreaded escort missions. So
I hate
here,
them.
yeah, they're coming in through over the top, and it's kind of brawly now as everyone gets segmented off. Valataja takes down Zave. A couple nice kills. Icefeld doing his best to put this team on his back, but he's the only one in the kill feed taking down 2.
Icefeld gets himself a double there as well. He's one of the few members of his team on their feet still, but he actually has a pulse bomb if he needs it. Perhaps he doesn't at this stage here as well. Doesn't even need to use it on Winghaven, and now he's going to go up towards Valitaja. Oh my lord! He recalls, and actually Zenyatta just appears in front of him, but Icefeld's got the reaction time to deal with that threat. Now he waits, gets some help. There is a Discord orb on Valitaja, but he's a little bit outnumbered right now as well. He needs to be very, very prudent with how he takes these engagements. Wants to land a pulse bomb on someone here, probably not Valitaja at this stage, but now the Transcendence comes in, so this pulse bomb, the value now increases drastically.
Yeah, that Transcendence was popped pretty early. Ruster does start to chime in, takes down Valataja, which should make Icefeld feel much more comfortable. You never want to get out-traced, but there goes Icefeld down to the Zenyatta as well, but he has put this team on his back, put them in position to take this.
Manderson as well does have a Graviton Surge available, so now with the retake coming in, again, 65% has already been taken. They're already Reunited. They're not willing to actually give this point up. Unfortunately, they only trickle through with a couple more players and can't keep it in stasis, but again, this could be a repeat occurrence. We do have important ults available for Luminosity after the fact. This retake has helped them, and now they have a Pulse Bomb and Graviton Surge combo, which could be absolutely devastating, even against a Transcendence.
They're going to have 5 ults to Reunited's 2, so it's really, the numbers say they should win this next fight. We'll see how the positioning goes, but those combos are going to be huge.
You can see Manhattan lays it on down there as well. There wasn't even a pulse bomb required at that stage, I don't think. There was plenty of follow-up damage just directly placed in towards the black hole, as it were. And here it is. Luminosity, hold on. And now, with only 1 or 2 ultimates used in that fight, they get 2 more online. Primal Rage. And of course, we're going to be seeing the Death Blossom sort of usable there. Now, I guess if you're Reunited, you want to charge yours up a little bit, make sure you've got all the tools you need to take this point, but Unfixed having Graviton Surge might be the start they need.
Yeah, well, Reunited with the bad loss last fight, well, a good loss rather, so now they have all their ultimates. Here come all of the Qs. It is getting absolute bedlam down there.
That's right, Rustra Mineral caught in the middle of it there, and Valley Charger is able to run straight through. Kip finds Saini trying to get away with Wraithwalk. He doesn't, he's cut down. Manitou now forced to shield himself back through the doorway. He's getting jumped on top of, and Valley Charger as well. Impressive performance from him. He's hanging on towards the point. He needs to deal with Icefeld here. He gets Zave. We'll be happy with that one to start with, and Icefeld can't dodge his way off and onto that point enough times, and it's flipped in Reunited's favor, and they've accrued a large percentage during the course of that fight.
They also have a couple lockdown ults here. Winghaven is going to be able to Primal Rage and just knock them away from even getting onto the point, so it's desperation time. It's not going to be a great fight for LG, but they are going to stall it out.
Yeah, Saini tries to go for Death Blossom, but it's cut down immediately. Kip goes straight for the Juggler and rips it on out. Graviton Surge in, and Winghaven's forced to use that Primal Rage, but that Graviton Surge has done its job. It's held off enough, and it's going to be a 1-all here in this best of 5 on Nepal.
So Reunited does not collapse there from 100% to nothing. They do bring it back. We are 1-1. Best of 3 now on our Nepal here. Yeah, it was kind of interesting to see the Genji picks as both teams had queued up on Reaper beforehand, but decided, because you mentioned the verticality of this map. This stage in specific opens up a lot of areas for different hero picks, but it looks like we're going same old, same old. Icefeld will stay on Tracer with Valotaja as well. The biggest difference is Sieni is on a Reaper, whereas Reunited is running Kib on the Genji instead.
Yeah, I love the flexibility that Reunited have found now. Before, you would never see Valotaja, Tracer, and Kib McCree. It would always be Kip Genji. Yeah. So they have an extra combination in terms of those offense heroes, and although we're not going to see McCree here as well, it's just a good sign about Reunited's sort of development over recent times. But now, up towards the point here, it is going to be Reunited over towards the left at the moment here. They're not going to stand on the middle at this stage, but Winghaven's going to go in, drops a shield, can't benefit from it here though, and Cruz has cut down on towards the outside of the fight. Not a great start here, but Zaven Mineral also falls straight away, and Icefeld causing a lot of problems, although he is eventually cut down for Unfixed. And Reunited with a solid hold there. They pick off some key heroes early on in that fight, and they're going to stand tall on the point.
Yeah, both Lucios went down super early, which makes all that damage permanent. It ends up being just a deathmatch on the point. Kib with the cleanup late takes down Manitin and Sieni, so that is going to be a firm first take for Reunited. And yeah, I've gotten in trouble with Reunited about talking about their lack of versatility, but they definitely have stepped it up a notch here. Winghaven used to be only the Reinhardt. I've talked to several of the guys about it. They're like, we can play more stuff, just give us some credit. And they are showing some more versatility here today, and it's paying off for them.
That about it. Normally we'd have to see Unfixed on the Winston, but Winghaven going to do it himself. He's more than happy to get on towards that one, and it's just an easy fighting for Reunited. They're going to press back on towards Luminosity with utmost of ease. A recall there for Icefeld. It's not going to keep them long enough alive, and it will now be Kib pressing forward. We'll get some information, see if he can spot out any early hero picks here, but nothing really being changed up in a big way here. Still, it's going to be Luminosity trying to grind this one out.
No switches here. Kib is going to set up in this corner. He has got his ultimate ready. He's waiting for them to come in, but they chose Main Street, and this is the initiation they needed. Sieni takes down a pick right away.
Kib going to go in there as well. He actually managed to cut down Zave early on in the fight. The Dragon Blade was popped just to receive this one. Not exactly the welcome mat you're hoping for if you're Luminosity, but it's definitely going to smart. It'll hurt in the morning, and it's going to give them this point still ticking along. You see that Luminosity were able to establish some position on that point, but eventually are cut down and still 65% and ticking. Now, if history is anything to go by, this is when Luminosity should retake. If they don't, they're going to be up the creek without a paddle.
Luminosity's initiation hasn't been the problem. Rusto has come in on these fights and gotten a first pick. It's been the delay between the initiation and the follow-up that has been struggling. They'll get a first pick, and then it's been 3 for the side of Reunited. Here comes a giant Graviton.
Yeah, not much follow-up there as well. The Transcendence was able to stave off a lot of the early damage, but Saini comes as well with a Death Blossom. That one's a little bit harder to deal with. But now the tanks are fighting back in. Winghaven and Unfixed get themselves 2 kills, and Winghaven, despite having the Discord Orb, is able to keep fighting through on this one. However, Luminosity has a sound barrier. That is very important to have late in the fight. But actually, Morton and Valley's Tarja can combine quite nicely here. The Pulse Bomb doesn't quite connect, though. That's an issue. And Icefeld is able to back away, despite having the Discord Orb, still with his life on intact. At least now we have a sound barrier coming in here from Reunited. They want to fight back, but it's going to be a Graviton Surge coming down. Mort's going to be caught in the middle of that one. Kid can't block all of the damage coming in towards him. Cruz has to back away, but this is going to be a long and drawn out overtime here at Hex.
Really scrappy. Reunited looked like they had brought that entirely back off of the back of Morte, who nailed a couple nice shots and then got his Transcendence to keep them alive, dealing with that Lucio. But now everyone came in. Balotaja takes down both Sieni and Zave there, so now it is getting very close, but they should be LG flipping it back, and we've seen this story before.
Yeah, we really have, and it worked out quite rosily here for Luminosity. The difference is this time, they actually don't have any ultimates to rely on, just that Primal Rage coming online now. The Graviton Surge won't be there as well, so I have to see what Reunited can make happen with this one. They have a Pulse Bomb, but still, that's going to be very, very conditional in its operation. Now, straight in towards the backline, Ruster goes. He's looking to pick off the ladder. He should have his cake and eat it too at this stage. He's going to be knocking Mort up against the wall, and in the meantime, Manton and Mineral are making mincemeat of the rest of this Reunited composition there as well. Before they even realized it, Reunited had their feet cut out from under them.
Yeah, both tanks going down early. I've always said that it's really rough when you lose both of anything, both DPS, both support, both tanks. So losing both your tanks, especially when you need to initiate, when you need to take space, that push is essentially over. You've got no one to start that fight for you as the fight ended as they tried to push in. So Reunited, good for them that they didn't end up using any ult there. They are getting to that phase where they just need to win one fight, so the ults will be coming in momentarily. So here's an initiation left side.
So Mort going to come in there with the Transcendence as well. In fact, Zave pops his as well, but the Pulse Bomb doesn't care about your Transcendence. He doesn't care about your healing per second. It's going to blow you up anyway. Insanity now going to try and get on towards Morty. Gets him in. Luminosity with another very, very important fight. Now this one, we saw a couple of those Reunited ults expended, but not all. They're still going to have a Graviton Surge and a Pulse Bomb of their own to come back in with. So maybe Mort hoping to bait some ultimates out of Luminosity or something like that, because he was really the only one to use his.
Maybe. There's a few Zenyatas who will just bust their ults like willy-nilly. Hang comes to mind on Liquid because they know they do so much damage in that kind of DPS role as well, so that they're going to have Transcend up later. So there's a lot of Zenyatas who are not super patient. Giant engagement comes in, both Soundbearers out.
Yeah, and Unfixed actually goes low, but manages just to get that ult off as he dies, and that was it. That's perfect. Kid comes in and gets himself 2 kills there as well. Perfect little follow-up for him, and also Valetaja uses that Pulse Bomb. That was very, very close fight now as we do start to see it being cleaned up here. Icebelt pushed up the point, now into overtime, being ticking away. That point now is going to go in favor of Reunited, and this is where it gets a bit messy here. Kid pushing forward, trying to keep the enemy away, and they will. It's going to be 2-1 here for Reunited. Mort, Unfixed, sorry, had 1 health or so when he used that Graviton Surge to win the fight. That's close.
Well, sometimes you know you're going to die, but you want them all grouped up so that your team can clean up too. These teams are very, very close in rank and skill. Just the maps we've seen so far have been so close. This one is pretty unpredictable. We are going back to this stage as well. So this was Reunited's earlier. We'll see if they can close out the stage, but we have more King of the Hill tonight too. So I imagine we're going to be going to 5s in a lot of these King of the Hills.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible. With Lijiang being in the rotation and Numbani, why are you going to pick Numbani against Reunited? It seems very unlikely.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be going to that one next year as well. I mean, it's, I guess, for a lot of teams picking into it, it's sort of harder to call, or sort of, you know, you feel a bit better going into that one. But back to Village here as well. So Valley Charger will still be on that Tracer here as well. We have him going in deep. And another fight starting off as many have in the past here, as both teams trying to get decent engages and find the squishy targets. Kib finds Ruster. So both Winstons go down early on in this fight.
Yeah, well, it's kind of your role in life as Winston. You're going to jump in the face and probably get shot at a bunch of times, and you just want to make sure you get everything done before you die. But that is definitely LG cleaning up as Sani and Manitin just absolutely decimate the rest of the roster, so they are going to grab first point pretty easily. A couple Reapers here. I'm surprised we didn't see it earlier. The teams had switched on it, then switched off of it, but Reaper making a big impact early against these control point Winstons.
Yeah, I mean, when they're diving in first, and Ruster as well, who goes in quite deep ahead of his team. You see him sort of jump in sometimes. It's not always his fault. Sometimes his team are just a little bit slow on the uptake, but he will fall pretty easily, just like that. Kib finds Ruster there with that Reaper, and now they're going to be looking for more up on that point. Still 5 players for Luminosity are grouped up on there as well, and up towards the side, we are seeing Icebelt trying to harass him. Maniton has a Graviton Surge ready to go. Will he use it is the question, though, as well. That's a big yes. Yep, Kib and Crew's going to get caught up in that one, but of course, the former can Wraith walk out of that point, but now he needs to deal with Sani, who has a Harmony and a shield to deal with. So, Luminosity looking solid in this fight, and they'll be able to push Reunited off.
Yeah, absolutely bullied out there, but Reunited is going to have pretty much every ultimate they want. Everyone's about 70 or 80%, which might as well be 100% as they're going to get those mid-fights. So the Big Bang Theory should be coming in from Reunited, but already down 52% to 0 here.
Not ideal at all, and Saini's in a great position as well to use his Death Blossom. He just wants to drop and kill people. So far, not so great, really. He actually doesn't get enough damage across. The dispersion was good from Reunited. They realized that there was a Reaper Copter on top of them and managed to spread quickly. Saini now as well, outdoing his opponent, gets on towards Winghaven and cleans him off there. While the Death Blossom didn't really do the damage, it still was enough of a distraction to spread Reunited thin.
Death Blossom's just hard lately. I mean, over the last month or so, I've been seeing people try to get these Death Blossoms, and it's just one of the things that pros have finally realized, like, how to play around against. They always have counters for it. Giant Death Blossom is a rarity, but Reaper's so good at this primary that you have to run him.
No doubt about it now. Reunited have actually put themselves flat on this point. They're committed to this fight, I suppose. Now, Saini actually and Ruster getting some important kills there. Winghaven gets two of his own. That is going to be no Winston, no Zarya here for Luminosity. This might help a lot. But still, Saini's up on the point. He gets on towards Kib. That's an important 1v1 there as well, as he's often the subject of those Discord orbs to make life a little bit harder. But overtime ticks down, and that's a big statement being made by Luminosity. They take the point, and they take it to a 5th and final stage here on the first map.
Reunited maybe being a little too patient with their ultimates, as they ended up finishing out that map with 3 still on the board. They were kind of banking up, doing those junk rushes to try to save up, so everyone had their ult, but Winghaven, Mort, and Kib all unable to cast their ultimates there in that final fight. And, you know, those percentages don't carry over. Where it's Sanctum, everyone's at 0 now, so 2-2, this is the stage for the first map.
And on Sanctum as well. Oh, no, sorry. No, we're going over towards Shrine here.
Oh, sorry. It looked like Sanctum to me.
No, that's right. I didn't even look out the window myself. But we are going to be jumping on here as well. It was a very interesting Sanctum actually last time. Super close. So refer back to Unfixed, just managing to let go of that Graviton Surge before he fell. That would have been diabolical for Reunited, and it could have been their undoing on that map. So 2-2. It's now or never, I guess, if they want to take this map away. Let's see what Kib can do, though. We're looking at him to see if he can sort of really rattle the cage and get into the back line and find some of these targets to assassinate.
Yeah, they kind of give up a lot of free ground here as LG just takes position on the point. I was going to keep an eye on Ruster, but it is Kib going off, takes down Save, and Ruster is followed up by Balutaja, but 2-2. 4v4 right now, 3v4 as Reunited swings it back. Only 2 alive for Luminosity here. That's going to be first point Reunited.
Now, Manitou, not much he can do there when he lacks a team to back him up. So, Reunited get the point to start things off there, and it was definitely off the back of Kib managing to isolate some of those targets. Still, the man is a monster on that Genji, even if he is sort of branching out a little bit more these days. It is the go-to for Reunited. It works out quite nicely. So 12% up on this counter. Let's see what Balutaja, though, can do as well on this Tracer. We're going to see him coming with a Pulse Bomb, essentially. So perhaps he wants to sort of just delay here. He's going to throw that one in there as well. He doesn't really catch on anyone. In fact, it gives free charge over towards Manitou, but he's still in a good position to harass off towards the side. It looks like Ruster as well got discorded. He has to jump out of the fight, but he actually might end up jumping into Cruz and Balutaja. The combination of them might be too much for him there. But no, Ruster gets on towards Cruz, and now Saini trying to push off, Unfixed off the map. Dancing around that little statue there. Kib keeps himself alive, but again, on his own, he's not going to be able to achieve too much there, and the point is flipped.
Ruster does such a great job of just avoiding damage. There's a lot of times where he could go fight that Tracer, but he knows it's a losing duel, but he also knows where his team is going to be. He knows where his DPS are going to come save him, so Ruster oftentimes not even clicking his mouse one, just jumping around and staying safe, letting everyone else around him do it. His sense on Winston is really strong.
Very, very, very solid from him. It's a shield on Winghaven as he goes in towards the fight. It actually shrugs off most of the Pulse Bomb damage for him, but a Graviton Surge comes in. Many players caught up in that one as well. There was, yes, just enough follow-up there. Icebolt gets himself too. It's Kib and Winghaven falling by the wayside. Very crucial targets if you're a Tracer going in, trying to take down the pillars of an enemy defensive lineup, and it is going to be flipped back now to Luminosity. 44%. Much more back and forth. Normally we see it get to 99% between these two before anything happens, but perhaps we like it better this way.
Well, Reunited has a couple decent ults to worry about, or to work with, rather. Unfix is going to have his Graviton. Cruz should have Sound Barrier by the time they choose to fight next, but I really want to look at Saini. Like, does he have a Death Blossom in him? It's not the greatest map for it, and if you get 2, it's going to be a successful Death Blossom here.
Oh, you can see Ruster there getting caught down pretty easily. Look at this Genji just jumping straight on through there. That's Kib going back and forth, getting himself some resets. But Balutaja gets himself a 3-piece there as well. Beautifully played off there. He actually didn't even use the Pulse Bomb for that one. That's the best part. He's just spraying away, getting the kills. It was all of Luminosity tied together in a nice little bow, and he was the one to finish the job.
I know, I did double check that because I saw Valataja with the 3K and I'm like, oh, he still has ultimate. How did that happen? But Valataja's tracking is just really, really good. As we said, he fell out of love with McCree. He is firmly in love with Tracer now. He's been running a great Tracer, especially on these King of the Hill maps. Nest Initiation comes in, Ruster on the point.
Now we're going to have a sound barrier here used by Reunited, and Winghaven's going to have his primal rage available for himself in just a moment. He pops it immediately, in fact. Now the Transcendence for Zave in the backlines is Valutaja. He can't find the squishy targets. Manadin picks him up. Now Kib out towards the side, looking for Mineral. Should have him that one, but unfortunately, Zany and Ruster already cutting the rest of his team down. Kib has to go big now with the Dragon Blade. He needs to make it happen. He gets Manadin, but Zany shuts him down before he can get any more kills in that fight. And Luminosity take the point back for themselves.
Yeah, and I will give props to Sani, who's been running this Reaper the entire time. He's always on the cleanup crew. He's always got 2 Ks at the end of every fight, so he's staying alive early in the fight, providing that constant pressure. The Death Blossoms are harder to hit nowadays, but his primary has been really good, and now Reunited has to push into this at an alt disadvantage.
And Mountain as well with the Graviton Surge, just as I say it, he uses it. Oh, it's perfect! Ruster and Sani get themselves 3 kills between them, and that's just what Luminosity needs. Now a counter Graviton Surge comes in, but there's no follow-up left. It's all about who pulls the trigger first in those cases, and Kib desperately trying to make something happen here, but Icefeld's going to force him back. It's a hand in the face. It's a palm that says, no, you won't be passing go. You won't be collecting $200, and he won't be getting the map. 3-2 in favor of Luminosity.
Well played by LG there. We'll see what the play of the game is. Yeah, it's Winghaven actually, but there was phenomenal Winston plays on both sides. Maybe he knocked someone off a cliff here.
Fire at will.
Or just the ridiculous DPS from a Winston. When you have, I think when you have like 4 targets, you have like the nuttiest DPS in the game or something like that.
We've always talked about like how Zarya's ults, like you always look at like the big flashy follow-ups and it's, you know, like a pulse bomb or a barrage, but some of the other tanks can just follow it up with their primary and do so much damage. Reinhardt and Winston, as soon as you clump people up, the tank swings and the Tesla beams just really, really murk people.
Yeah, no, beautiful stuff there as well from Winghaven. As most of the time, you don't see that actually being crucial in those fights because there's normally like either a Winston dome over or a Reinhardt shield to protect. But if you have neither of those things and you get caught up like that, then yes, an enemy Winston is going to decimate you. Hello, I'm back. I had no tan, of course. So I want to see what these two teams decide to go for here as well. If they go to Lijiang, I'll be a little bit disappointed because I'd love to see if Nepal is going to be a pick here as well. I know it used to be Reunited's map, but last time they played it against Rogue, I think it was actually at the Atlantic Showdown. It wasn't that flash.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to Numbani here. That is Reunited's pick. We've always said that Reunited is good on Numbani, even though they don't always pick it. It's somehow like we know they're good at it, but they don't necessarily know they're good at it. But we are going to be headed to Numbani. Our production staff needs a bit of a break, so we're going to let him go grab a drink, the hardworking ZPS, or ZP, as he's known in Europe.
ZP. Yeah, that's right, ZP, or Z Proton. Depends what you want to call him, but... Yes, no, we'll let him have a break. He's actually whispering in our ears little sweet nothings as we play as well. Some of them are appropriate to mention, some of them not, but we'll let him take a break. And especially because he's back for the next game as well, so we'll catch his breath.
It's a perfect time to read a donation that we got on our Matcherino page. If you want to get in and make me say something stupid, go ahead and go to !Matcherino. This one isn't exactly stupid, though. It's from a fellow named Pain Awakens, who threw in $5 of his own and then used our coupon code GGEU18 to throw a total of $6 into the prize pool. It goes directly to the players. And he says simply, Overwatch nerds heart. We are Overwatch nerds. You're right.
That's what we do. I think Pain Awakens is actually a female, if I remember from streams in the past. So thank you for that, Overwatch nerds. That could be a very general thing. I'm happy to be an Overwatch nerd. I'm also happy to see Numbani coming up next here as well. I mean, this map is very, very different now as well. I mean, the way that teams sort of play out on this one, you have a lot more options. Do we get to see May? Is that a thing? I mean, there are so many questions running through my head. I can't even deal with it right now, Hex. But again, I want to see if we see an updated approach to this map from a team like Reunited, who used to make it their bread and butter.
Yeah, maybe. This is a strange map where even when the patches change and the meta changes, that generally teams will still run like a Torb, they'll still run a Mei. Mei was on this map before even she got a little bit of a buff, and I think Mei's really good right now, especially on defense. With Numbani, there's only like 3 approaches, right? You can go down Main Street, you can come around right, or you can go upstairs. And what May does is completely shut down stairs. You have no option to do that anymore. So you're either going down Main and do that giant rotation like Cloud9 generally does. A lot of teams have copied that strategy as well, and then move around the backside, but that also takes a ton of time. Or you go down to the right side, and now if another team is running a Torb, there's going to be a turret over there, and that right side's dangerous too, because aggressive Lucios will bump you off of this map too. So I think we will see a Mei on defense at some point here. It's just a matter of like, are they going to switch off her? Are they going to switch onto her? So yeah, Numbani is just great. Numbani's always been fun to go to, because when in a world of Kings Rows and Hollywoods where everything's running the same thing, both offense and defense on the same thing, Numbani's always the outlier. So we'll always see something new here.
Yeah, I mean, also a chance for Soldier 76 to come out. We saw that Luminosity used him on Gibraltar, of course, just trying to harness the fact that he's quite effective at sort of medium to long range. Now his recovery time on his spread is quicker, but it also blooms faster. So it's more reliable than he was, but you're more so hedged into just those short bursts of damage, just those 4 shots, because if you use any more than that, then you just can't get reliable damage. However, when you stop and just take a breath and then start firing again, you'll find that your accuracy or your recall has reduced quite drastically as you come back to it. So he was always a pick on this kind of map as well. I remember Too Easy used to play him all the time for REUNITED there as well. And given the propensity that's already been demonstrated from Luminosity to take him again, I think it was Maniton that was playing him, or maybe Icefeld, I'm not sure. Maybe Icefeld last time they played him on Gibraltar. It should be a thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, actually, offensively, Cloud9 has run an offensive Soldier 76 in the last couple weeks. It's usually Reaver there, but that's because Cloud9 always likes to take the high ground away from the team when they're on offense. That's those big rotations to go around back so that they end up in the defensive position and kind of just swap sides there. So yeah, I'm hoping for Soldier 76. It looks like we might have our dreams answered as Icefeld queued up on the old man himself.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, I believe it was him playing it last time. It made it work really, really nicely. It wasn't anything super flashy, but there was a tactical visor that came at a very crucial time to hold that first point. So, yeah, I mean, I believe it. And even with Torbjorn coming back in, there were a lot of teams who were doing that and then kind of stopped doing that as teams managed to find their way around it. I mean, D-Gun was a self-professed lover of Torbjorn on this map for Melty. It was just every single time. He absolutely loves Torbjorn, but he has to have the pirate skin, apparently. So that'll work really quite nicely here as well. I mean, you're going to be bringing in the Roadhog as well just to get picks off if anyone's trying to come through the middle. It used to be Farah's worst nightmare on this map for attacking teams, and it's still very, very strong. But yeah, I hope to see sort of Diva Winston and Genji like we may see here for the defensive side. That'd be nice to see him dive on in.
Yeah, the dive comp has always been a giant thing on Numbani, especially because they're always running into a Torb now. They do set up this Torb turret on the pillar back here, which looks like it was designed specifically to put a turret on, not the stairs. I really prefer the stairs as far as turret locations. It seems super cheesy. It's super hard to get to, but so that's going to be one side. The other damage is going to be Icefeld on his left side. Sieni will probably play a pretty aggressive Genji here, as he's going to be looking forward to see which angle of approach the offense is going to take.
Yeah, again, just get a little bit of a spot on what they're bringing. If they got a Diva, he'll know it straight away, and they do as well. We are going to see what Maniton can achieve here on this Roadhog as well. Mannequin, God help me. He plays better than one, trust me. You're going to be up on the high ground now as well, and the entirety of REUNITED are pushing in here and straight towards the high ground. They're knocking Zave off. They pick him off pretty early on there. Kib is well free to just right-click in the background now. Is Sandy going to challenge him out there on that Genji v Genji battle? But Winghaven able to break back in on towards Sandy. The turret is down, and so is the Creator. It's going to be Icefeld trying to hold on here as well, but he's been forced back. And now he's on the ground, and unfortunately, that's not really where you want to be as Soldier 76. Nicely done by REUNITED to push in like that.
Yeah, Kid with the cleanup. That's absolutely the first pick you want there is on the enemy Mercy. So it kind of demoralizes the whole team knowing, oh, if I die, that's actually going to happen. Now, maybe Resurrection wasn't going to be up on time, but that is such a huge source of healing now in this meta. It's nice to have your Lucio give you the AoE, but when anyone really takes damage, you need the Mercy there. So that's a huge first pick. They're going to try to hold around this first bend, though.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this happen, actually, in recent times. Sometimes it works, especially if you have smolts to back you up, but that's the strange thing is Luminosity don't, and they're going to fall by the wayside. Icefeld goes down, and so does Mineral. That's some good pickoffs from Kib, and even though he does ultimately die, Winghaven now gets to go into the backline and cause even more problems of his own. A bit of a mistake for maybe Luminosity to get so close and personal here, as REUNITED by themselves a heck of a lot of free progress, because as the fight was going, Valley Tarja and Cruz were sat on the payload.
First couple of picks in that fight were both the Mercy and the Lucio, which is absolutely brutal. You never want to lose both of your supports early in a fight like that, so now they're so far pushed up. Winghaven with a really nice cleanup, really nice chase on his Winston. His Winston has gotten better and better over the last months. He's a Reinhardt ace, and his Winston looked shaky early on when he switched over to it, but he finally looks comfortable on that hero.
And look at that, that point comes up there very, very quickly for Reunited. The entirety of the Streets phase, or that second phase, just being thrown out the window, essentially there. Purely because Luminosity got a little bit too close. Now they're going to make up for lost time. And Staney heading towards the back line there as well with the Dragon Blade, but he gets nothing for it. Transcendence was up. Valley Tides are going to stomp him on down, and Unfixed finds Ruster. This is going to be a bit of a whitewash here, Hex. They're just not stopping for anyone right now, Reunited.
This is so one-sided. I'm really surprised that LG looks this bad on defense right now. Now, they are going to have the Resurrection up finally, but Zavis died really early in these fights, so maybe a Graviton into Deadeye. They need to do something so that they have a beatable time on the other side.
And when it comes to time bank, this is going to be very, very good for Reunited to have set it up in the way that they have. Zave forced with Deadeye. That is absolutely a nightmare for Luminosity. You can't allow that to happen. Luckily, Icebolt gets himself 3 kills over the course of that fight and manages to hold on. But losing your Mercy there, it's very, very lucky that Luminosity's damage dealers managed to do their jobs there.
Yeah, that's the third fight in a row that Zabe died really early. Not always his fault, of course. You are running on a team of 6, needs those shields up to protect him. But yeah, as you mentioned, the DPS, they're really pulling it back for LG, and they finally won a fight. They're finally going to actually have ultimate advantage here, too, as Minerals really close. Zave and Ruster have theirs. So as long as their supports don't get picked early, which has been a theme for them this map, they should be fine for the next couple holds.
Yeah, and this is a point where you can hold teams full hold, that is, towards the end of the map now, and with less time available to attacking teams on maps like this one, which is a longer map than normal, mind you. Could be a little bit tricky for Reunited here. They need to break through now as well. Find those key targets with ultimates before they use them and pick them off. But now, Earthshatter comes in. Winghaven's the only one to fall to that one there as well, but Ruster's probably happy enough with that one. However, Kib responds. He goes in and gets the kill. Now it's going to be the sound barrier here coming out of Luminosity, and they will press forward. It's Kib with nothing but a Harmony Orb to keep himself safe, and he's definitely going to take a big old back step.
Yeah, Sunbearer comes out late just to make sure they get a couple of kills on their side, and knowing that the Sunbearer for the other team is only at about 20%, which they had timed out, they're comfortable using it there to ensure that fight victory, push this back a little bit more. So right now, dude, we do have a Reaper looking up top. They know they're coming through top. At least they had eyes on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they didn't push too far forward there as well. A bit of overconfidence could have cost them there as well. So they're going to give a lot of ground here. But Icebot gets picked up. Fixtures in the backlines there as well. Sani forced to get a shield from Mananon to stay alive. And now with Mort diving into the backline with that Transcendence, he makes life so much easier. Beautiful stuff there, but Sani eventually does fall down. Now the res is coming in, and it's definitely required by this stage. Look at this one. It's messy as heck. Kib forced to run away there, and Winghaven back behind the payload, having to swing through this one. Luminosity may have just held on, but it's very much by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, Luminosity looking good here. Finally, a Resurrection comes out and makes sure that that fight is won. Icefeld with a very late cleanup on his McCree, which is what McCree, of course, excels at. We'll see what Reunited has going here. Like I said, Death Blossom's been really hard to fix, to nail lately. Siani's going to get up here to make sure that that's not going to come over the top ropes. That's how they lose the games, but Death Blossom comes over the top.
Oh, that's a beautiful Earthshatter there as well. Now, Sani going to have to come in there as well. Doesn't quite use his Death Blossom there as well. He's not thinking about that one. He's thinking about staying alive and dealing back for his team, but just as he goes to use it, he's Earthshattered. In the second after it comes out of Wraith form and tries to press Q, he is cut down and knocked to the ground by Winghaven. Perfect timing, and that's kept Reunited healthy enough to press forward. Now we're into stall phase. You can see the Diva already coming out of the mixture here as well. Icebolt goes in, forced to recall immediately now. Ruster trying to step out on towards the point, and here's a Graviton Surge, catching 3 together. Unfixed manages to get out with his Wraith walk now, but he's on his own. Kib also there with the Dragon Blade swinging forward. He needs to do a lot of heavy lifting here, and it seems to be enough. Yep, that'll do it. No doubt about it. 4 kills for Kib, going absolutely off his chops. He gets on towards Icebelt there as well. Beautiful stuff, but still, reinforcements are available and forthcoming for Luminosity. Ruster, Manaton, and Mineral all standing up on this payload here, and Kib dashing on through. This should be them finished off, but Sani gets onto towards the point just to stall it out a little bit longer.
An enormous Resurrection keeps this fight going a little longer. Sani is going to stall it out, and maybe they can stall a little bit more, but I thought Genji got nerfed, didn't he? Did no one told Kib?
They forgot to nerf Kib, though. That's the problem. That's actually the problem in the first place. Nothing wrong with Genji. All these complaints are just coming from people who's playing against and watching Kib. That was nutty from that man. Cut it down there as well. And those fights can often be a little bit awkward there as well. Hard to see sort of whether it's going back and forth, but They still got a minute 49 in the time bank here as well, which is pretty darn good if you are Reunited. But we'll have to see what Luminosity can put up. I just have no real prior knowledge of them on this map. Luminosity just don't really play it in my experience.
No, yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I think the last time I saw them on this map was probably when they were Too Strong, which is a couple months ago. But they've never really run anything that stands out, especially as far as like offenses or defenses. That's how I end up knowing teams on this. You mentioned Melty earlier, how they always run the same thing, or how I mentioned Cloud9's offense is always very similar here. There's a team with Agilities on it who always runs a Mei on this map. So yeah, not just getting to know Luminosity Gaming here, but the first couple points looked really, really rough. We'll see if they can bring it back on their offense. A bit of a wrinkle that they're going to be running a Roadhog at the very least. So everything looks pretty standard from the Reunited defense. Debo Winston on the defense is Numbani standard, but the Roadhog, the hooks are going to be something to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and that will be pretty important. Sometimes I sort of worry the Roadhog on offense is a little bit cheap. It's like you're trying to sort of get that first kill and sort of try and exploit the numbers advantage, and sometimes that's not really enough, or if you don't get the hook, it doesn't work out. But we've seen it work really nicely earlier on in the evening. In fact, it was from Luminosity. So it's just a matter of connecting. It's just we'll have to see how much Reunited respect that hook and what it can do as well. I think they know what they're getting into, but the defensive side, as you said, it's going to be Genji for Kib. It's going to be Winghaven on Winston. Mort is going to be on the Zenyatta. Unfix on Diva, Cruz on Lucio, and Valitaja, he's on the McCree. You may have fallen out of love with it, but he doesn't have any choice but to play it here as far as his team is concerned.
Yeah, this Luminosity side, one of the biggest things to look at too is also Zave is going to be on the Mercy, so that is one of the big differences here. That as the meta gets sorted out, which teams are going to run Mercy, which teams are going to run Lucio, is it very based on offense or defense? We will see.
Well, I like the speed boost now as they get up behind as well. And this is great if you're trying to hunt down a Soldier 76 or, you know, someone who's sitting up on this point. Used to be a Widowmaker for the same fact. Now, you have the advantage as an attacking team. You can decide when to jump down and start this fight. You have the height advantage. You just need to get your team together and make it work there. Kib trying to run interference amongst that fight there. Sees Icefelt going down, and Rusto knocked off the edge with Xavier Mannington. So now a little bit of a split attack here for Luminosity. They can still work with this though, but again, down to 4 could be a bit tricky.
Yeah, they can't work with it anymore. Both their DPS are down, so it is just a waiting game for when everyone else is going to die. They should be suiciding right now, in my opinion. Both tanks are going to try to clean up, but Kib and Valitaja make short work of them. Not the strongest fight out of them afterwards. When you lose both DPS, Icefeld went down pretty early to a Zenyatta, and then you lost Sane too. Like, you just don't have the damage to deal with it, even with a Roadhog on your squad. But that's something a lot of teams are wrong. Like the Numbani offense is essentially, we need to find a way to take the high ground away, then after that we'll worry about a fight. No teams are really trying to push through main anymore.
No, it's just too risky as well. When you open up into a weird cul-de-sac, and it's often quite nasty. It's Valitaja now channeling that Deadeye, but of course the shield of the ever-trusty tank Ruster is going to prevent that damage from coming down. Now Unfix goes in on his own here, gets hooked up, desuited, but that's just what he wanted. He goes for the self-destruct, but Kib doesn't give a damn! He's going straight into the backside, gets us all 4. He may as well have 5, they may as well just let him have it for God's sake. Valitaja picks up Ruster. This guy... Such a softly spoken individual, not a cocky, not an ego person at all, but he's just one of the sickest Genjis I've seen. I spoke to him at LAN, man. He's quieter than a church mouse, but when you put him on that Genji, his blade speaks for itself, man.
Yeah, and Reunited has been a team that's had problems like refilling their roster. Whenever they lose their 6th here and there, they've had trouble trying to find the person. But Kib, since the moment he played, like when I first saw him play on this roster, I was like, he's pretty good, and he's just gotten better and better. And a 5K there, just insanity. Valitaja ruining his 6K dream, but the sound barrier comes in for LG. Icefeld takes on Valitaja to start.
Yeah, and Mannington just being the subject of scrutiny right now, and a good little response from Mort comes in with the Transcendence, keeping it over his team. Very aware of the situation now as his teammates are often quite split, but he finds himself, as his ult times out, a little bit out of position, but it don't matter. He still catches on towards Icefeld there with those balls, and it's going to be Unfixed to finish the job on towards Sane. That was probably one of the best chances that Luminosity are going to have on this attacking half. They've squandered it. Now they only have the Resurrect to sort of rely on going into this fight directly. They're going to have a few other ults, but not the ideal ones by any stretch.
Yeah, I mentioned how Winghaven, I think, has been better on Winston lately, and it's a lot because of his target choices here. He's not playing Winston like he used to play Reinhardt, just kind of up front, I'm going to eat some damage. You're aggressive as Winston, so he got to the backlines, took out Zave, which means that Resurrection's off the table. Zave has to stay alive in this fight if LG wants a chance.
Yeah, that Resurrect going to be important, but he doesn't want to use it too early as well. Needs to try and use it to his team's advantage and not just to keep them alive. But at this point, Luminosity are playing to not lose more than to win. They're running out of time, down to 30 seconds, and Sani goes in with the death. Now he's going to fall as well. Kib falls to Manhattan there as well, unfortunately. And now backed up with a Resurrect that Zave managed to pop. This might be a chance here for the side. Luminosity come back in. Unfixed somehow catches Manhattan around the corner there as well. And Rally Charger finds Icefall. Now the sound barrier comes down as well. So many ultimates being used by Luminosity to stay alive. The Reunited have time to reinforce this point.
It's just the supports on the point. It is only Lucio and Mercy, and despite their best efforts, just not enough damage coming out of those two. A solo ult from Ruster to try to take down the one threat in his face. They're going to first hold this.
Yeah, perfect stuff there as well from Reunited. They give a good account of themselves, and they show that they still understand this map better than most teams. So many opportunities there for Luminosity to come in, and yeah, I understand it's a bit less forgiving now to try and attack the first point on a lot of these maps, given that you have less time in general. But beautiful stuff there. Kib, I mean, stunning work. I love Unfixed Diva there as well. If he didn't get kills with his ultimate, he set up opportunities like that 5k from Kib, right? You heard everyone back into a corridor and Kib just cuts through with Dragon Blade. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, generally, if you're going to run a Mercy, you expect a Resurrection nearly every fight past the first one. And Zave was just getting focused on so hard by Winghaven, who made it his top priority to make Mercy's life miserable there. The only Resurrection they got was late on that first push, and it did bring up a couple, but just not quite enough. So I think they want more out of their Mercy play, but a lot of that is keeping Zave a little more healthy, a little more protected in the back line when they are going to focus him down as hard as they've been doing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Zave is an excellent Mercy player. In fact, he was one of the most vocal players when Mercy sort of stopped being played anymore. He really said he wasn't super comfortable. He really much preferred to play on that Mercy, even though he's sick at a whole host of heroes. So it's good to see him back on that one. But yeah, getting picked off a little bit too easily here, and that's kind of half the reason Mercy was forced out of the meta anyway. Is because you are too easily picked off there. I mean, and those cases as well, going down with ult just sort of compounds the issue for him now as well. So Lijiang Tower going to be the last stage here. Again, another map that I would really say is right up Reunited's alley, but you saw what happened to them on Nepal.
Yeah, this should be an interesting one, to say the least. I always think Lijiang, and maybe I'm antiquated in this notion, but I think Lijiang a lot of the times comes down to your Tracer players, and maybe that's just way back in the day when Mendo ran wild on this map and just shut down teams single-handedly, but I think Tracer is super important here, so it's going to be a lot of Balataja versus Icefeld. I think that you're just so good. So many open spaces for Tracer, so many Pulse Bomb combos here. I think that might be a thing to look at as we move forward, and then we're also probably going to see Winghaven on the Winston rather than the Reinhardt too, and his Winston play has been really good. But to me, this battle comes down to the Reapers and the Tracers. Lijiang is a map that is friendly to both, so Sani, Unfixed, Icefeld, and Balataja are the players to watch here.
All right, we'll keep that in mind there as well. I mean, a lot of these maps have a bit of a concentric nature to them. I'll refer more to Garden and, of course, Command Center. So great for Tracer as well to just avoid scrutiny in general. I think it'd be very interesting when we get towards Night Market and how that sort of plays out. But both these teams have really sick Tracers on them. I'm really glad you sort of highlighted that as a factor. So I do hope that we see Tracer instead of McCree here for Balataja. Not only do I think that, yeah, he's been a bit more comfortable on that one here as well. I think there's a reason why Tracer has crept back in, and it all started on maps just like this one there as well. Hard to hit, can stall out, could do a lot of damage, and you also cancel out to a degree that Transcendence with your ultimate here as well. All great reasons to bring it back. I'm just glad, Hex, that we don't have to see 4 of them on each team anymore.
Yeah, it's tragic that we don't get to see 5 and 6 of them on each King of the Hill. Someone would play Lucio and it'd just ruin the entire thing. But yeah, we are back in 1 hero limit. Luckily, I think why Tracers are so good here is what Tracer really hates are super wide open areas and super closed off areas. And King of the Hills really lend themselves to, oh, there's a wall there, I can blink. She's always able to escape. If you use your rewind well and your blinks well, you should really never be taking damage. So that's why Tracer is so strong here. Balataja and Icefeld do take up the mantle, and they will both be playing Tracer here. The biggest difference, Kib on his Genji, no Genji for LG, but it is going to be Sani on his McCree.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this works out for Tsani, if I'm honest with you now. A little bit deep, Winghaven does go, is forced to actually back away now, and quite often the pleasantries on this map are exchanged through this center courtyard, and both Winstons will take turns jumping in towards each other's backlines, but Winghaven goes down first. He forced Tsani now as well, who's been left free to sort of do a little bit more damage until Kib finds him there as well. This guy is a centerpiece for this team, literally coming out of nowhere in terms of where he was picked up from now. Icefelt falling to Valley Charger. Well, the man himself on your screen, definitely problems. Now the point is finally unlocked, and I like this little sneaky Valu gets his way on towards the point. He can either dictate that Luminosity have to chase him there, or just take the point.
Yeah, extremely back and forth. Both Winston's dying early, which is just how the scientist works right now in this meta. You have to initiate, you have to get the bubble, but you're generally going to die early in those fights. So Ruster now comes back on, takes on Cruz. That's a really nice pick to start this fight.
And Sentence is a good follow-up there as well. Kib, again, gets himself 2 quick kills, easily enough, make it another one if he can finally get it one. He actually hasn't even used Dragon Blade, so he has that one available. He's going to spend his time now out in the middle of the map. Again, such a massive threat. If you're going up against a team with an incredibly strong Genji, it's even worse when you can't bring one of your own. There's nothing really to answer him, answer against that in kind. As much as McCree can be very, very good against Genji, Kib just keeps breaking line of sight and keeps escaping from these guys.
Yeah, what I will say about both these teams, they've both been super smart in not wasting ultimates. I haven't called a single wasted ultimate. Here comes the Graviton trying to get the combo in.
Yeah, and when Kib goes straight through there as well, it just a bit of extra damage. No Dragon Blade required there as unfixed Cruise and Mortis supports and tanks getting most of the damage done. Icefelt there now as well with the Discord Orb on him will fall very, very quickly in. Well, Reunited looking reinvigorated here after that last map. They're holding this point strong, and Luminosity have to challenge them in the middle of the map before they can even think about the first point, and that seems to be the problem for them.
Yeah, the Big Bang combo is nearly unplay-aroundable. Like, you could spread out if you want, and even a sound barrier there we saw, that's fine, but you still get pulse bomb, you still get whittled down, and everyone on that cleanup. It's just a brutal combo to try to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, Madison just tries to peek his way out into the middle of the map there, and all of a sudden draws the attention of 3 of the Reunited players, and that's Azaya as well. So that's just a sign of how quickly these players are falling on the side of Luminosity. That Madison can't even get in position to use a Graviton Surge. He held that for a while, but now he had the Big Bang available. Icefelt Madison can combine with this one now as well. Depends where they want to use it. We're also going to see the Primal Rage being used early on the PC just to try and disrupt a little bit. Valley just trying to stack up against Madison. Again, dying without using his ult here as well. It's going to be a lot harder for Luminosity to take this. I'd say even impossible.
Yeah, it's Winghaven going absolutely crazy on his Winston. That Primal Rage is out knocking people about. Now there's going to be some stall out maybe from Ruster, but this is Reunited taking this map rather easily. And as you mentioned, just dying with ultimates in your pocket never feels good. Maniton never found his right angle from 50% on to be able to get that Graviton in and start that fight back for them. So that's a rough stage to say the least. We're going to second stage of Lijiang, Reunited in the driver's seat.
And they took so much real estate in that last map there as well, Hex. When now the generally agreed way of playing Light Market is that you need to fight them in the middle first. You actually can't sort of circumvent that fact. I mean, if you do, the enemy team still has a stronger position because you try and creep around to the point, the backside, and you're very close to a very steep fall. If you get knocked off or anything like that as well. So you've kind of got to stand and deliver. I kind of like that about the map, but it also makes it very, very hard to get back in once you're out. Now we're on to Command Center, and this is going to be another curious one here as well. We talked about the Tracer factor coming into this map. Still none going to be coming out for Luminosity here.
You will, because Icefelt is just doing he's doing the double speed burst as him and Mineral are going to switch off Lucios to get that line of sight double speed burst. They're a team that has kind of pioneered this tactic as well, so they're going to have much stronger positioning early on. Due to that, Icefelt does switch to the Tracer later on, but that's something that this Luminosity gaming team has kind of made a thing.
No doubt about it. It's worked for them as well. A lot of teams have sort of taken note and picked it up. Now, bit of a messy fight here. Tsani falls down to Kib as well. I'm getting very sick of saying that one, but to be fair, the man is doing it justice. Zave as well over the top. It's going to be Valley Tarja combining. You've got probably 2 of the most dangerous damage dealers in the entirety of Europe here as well. If you don't count an AKM on McCree, you've got pretty much some of the best on show right here. And the point will go to Reunited to start things off.
Alright, so an interesting switch here as Sani is going to be rocking the Pharah. Now in a meta where you're generally running a Mercy anyway, you could always kind of flip this in as a switch up, and I generally like it more when you already have control of the point, but this is a great stage for Pharah.
Doubt about it. Really works well. I mean, you can still sort of get caught in a few of those ways, but again, Kib just dominating here. Dragon Blade comes out, gets himself 2 towards the back line, wants another one. He just gets caught a little bit out. there as well, and doesn't have a dash charge to get him involved, but really that's the only thing you can fault him on there in that fight. He just, you know, when the team says go, he goes, he pulls the trigger, and he gets it done. Perfect stuff there. 35% here. Now, Ultimate's coming in. We do have a Pulse Bomb for Ice Belt, and yet, like you said, that Pharah coming in here won't be as impactful, I think, in the early stages until that she can establish a foothold inside this main observatory area.
Yeah, one of the problems with the For Mercy combo is that it's a win more strategy. You have to be winning to be in the proper position. It's really hard to actually use an entry kill. Oh
yep,
my God.
And there it is. That's the Pulse Bomb coming in. That one. Kiv still finds a way to be involved. But you're exactly right, Hex. When you need to work through that corridor as a Pharah or somehow get towards a point, it's quite difficult to do so because you're fragile as always, and you can't really go around the outside of the tower and get in the point because you get singled out so early. So I'm not sure if I agree with it here. I just have to see if Saini can actually get any headway here.
Well, maybe they try this rotation so they can get up through the top, but Valitaja is walking there. They are going to walk right through the middle. Here comes a giant sound barrier both sides. Saini does start it off, killing more. That's really nice for his Pharah.
Yeah, and as well, Zave and Saini are over the top of this one now as well. With just the Graviton Surge coming in, Saini capitalizes on that quite nicely. Has a barrage here as well, but won't need to use it in this case, and that's good. So if you get the point, this is now fine. And then when you've got a Graviton Surge, you know, sort of still cooking, it's just using that last fight, but a barrage ready to go, you're probably happy now to actually be in control of this point here. And a res is available for Zave as well. He's been persisting on using this Mercy, despite the fact that we're not seeing one mirrored in from Reunited. So we definitely need to see that come into effect here.
Yeah, I think it's also fine. Like, if he's just going to run Mercy no matter what, then you can run this Pharah. Oh my God, goes on really early to Valitaja.
Not ideal there as well. Again, they really needed that res in this fight, and this should just pretty much be the point flipping straight back. Should be no questions asked at this stage. Icefelt there and Ruster trying to keep themselves alive, and Icefelt is a slippery sucker, but still eventually will have to fall now, and he does. It's going to be more that picks him up. A Mineral also to follow. Again, point flip back. You still have a res, but now you don't have control of the point. You just don't ever get your win conditions online at the same time.
It feels like still has the res has been like the constant theme. There goes down Zave again. It's just this resurrection has not been hit as often as we were used to seeing Mercy resurrections. And you generally want 2 in the game by now, maybe 3 even, but he's just not been in position to get those resurrections down. They've not been able to initiate. That is Reunited taking this point rather easily.
Yeah, another one coming up there for Reunited. And I don't want to turn this into I don't want to turn this into like Atlantic Showdown analyst desk versus reinforce like round 2. It's not. We're not. You know, just trying to pick him out because there's nothing else to say. But you know, one thing why I think it's a pertinent thing to point out is because this is a point of difference between these two teams, right? We're actually seeing this Mercy being valued so highly that they're going to bring her into situations like that, and that's fine. But then you also have to maybe address a bit of the cognitive dissonance, or maybe the you know, lack of logic behind it, where it's just not working in practice, right? In theory, it sounds good if you have control, but you're up against Reunited, and if you're playing a strategy that requires you to be in the driver's seat, I mean, your first win condition there is already lacking. I don't know if you can really plan to be dominating a team like this. Yeah,
well, I mean, it comes down to anything. It could be a Mercy, it could be anyone else, but if you're playing an entire stage as a hero and you don't ever hit your ultimate, then something went wrong.
Oh, Ruster, that went wrong as well there. He already used his jump pack, and he's knocked. He did manage to get unfixed for his trouble now, but again, having him off the map, he trades himself out for that so cheaply. Still, the wall doing some work there. Kid patiently has to wait behind it there, and Winghaven goes over the top as well just to start things off. Valitaja's still there. Winghaven gets himself 2 kills. The man is a beast on the monkey.
He just must have known they were low health too, because that wall came up and he was just with one person back there. He just saw someone get booped off the ledge, so it must have just been ESP that he knew that over the top, if he dives that in, he's going to nail a couple kills, because they were very low over the top, leaving just, you know, you're fighting into a 1v3 right there, and he did it anyway, took down 2 kills. And I've been super impressed with Winghaven's Winston. This is a better Winston than he's ever run.
No doubt about it. Mountain's going to piece out off the edge. A Mineral fell to a Pulse earlier on. Unfixed as well is going to meet a similar fate, and Kip goes down to Saini here as well. Kip on the McCree, no less here. Interesting that he isn't taking that Genji at all, whereas Saini is. But still, it seems like every time you stack them up against each other, Reunited's made some better calls in terms of their team compositions over these last 2 maps, and still, it is working out for them. They've got no ultimates coming into this next fight, but nor do Luminosity.
Yeah, we'll see. They're going to try to push in over the bridge here. As you mentioned, it's kind of a naked fight. Winghaven does get his ult, though. He's going to cause all sorts of chaos in the backlines, which is perfect when you're actually holding the point. There goes Mineral off the edge. Can he skate up? No, he cannot. He gets knocked off the edge Cruz then continues, takes down Zave as well, so the support's showing up for Reunited here, and even though this Primal Rage started it off nice for LG, it does not look like they're going to be able to carry this momentum onto the point. It is 3v3 on the point, though.
Yeah, Rasta manages to knock Kib off the edge. Now he transitions that one into picking up Cruz, but Valitaj is going to be there. Rasta spent so much time just trying to work with Kib that the rest of his team were slowly but surely just evicted from the point. 75% is going right now for Reunited, and they are happy to keep this fight going. Even if they lose, it doesn't matter. Transcendence now. Sandy pulls out Dragon Blade after Transcendence is popped there. Strangely enough, especially now the duration is less, it's less likely, I guess, he's going to be able to have a period where they don't overlap. Valitaj gets himself 2 kills, and that should be it. It's last chance alone here for Luminosity. I think they're going to be striking.
Yeah, Maniton going down there on the retreat is really brutal for them, as if he were able to stay alive, maybe they could graviton into this, but this was Reunited. Reunited won this map handily. Lijiang was theirs. There was no doubt about it the entire time, and as you mentioned, maybe compositionally, maybe you want to switch things up for LG. They are going to have a shot. They're going to go down to the lower bracket.
Yeah, stunning stuff there from Reunited. I've always been quite a fan of their map pool, because it's not only do they go for more esoteric maps and try and add them to their arsenal, they only do that once they actually sort of have, you know, the basics down as well. Things like, you know, your King's Row and stuff like that. They have a really nice array of maps they can go to, so much so that even in this full best of 3, Luminosity are way unfavored, I guess. Well, not nearly as favored when it comes down to the map picks that have come in. The pool, 2 of the maps, I would have been an easy win for Reunited, and they ultimately were.
Reunited's always been like the Mario from Mario Kart for me. Just like consistent, like medium, good at everything, no real strong weaknesses too. Everyone on their roster can have a great day and show up and win the game for them, but no one's really going to have a terrible day for them.
Sure.
They're just medium across the board, steady, consistent. That's why they always make it to finals. And then, like, we said that as kind of a shot at them earlier, like, oh, always make it to finals, don't win the thing. But they make it to every final. It's because they're super consistent. They don't have bad days. And to your point, they don't really have a bad map. Where do you want to take Reunited to, like, cheese a map off them? I can't think of a map. Nothing comes to mind.
Road couldn't even do it on Hanamura. They tried to go to Hanamura, and then Unfixed just goes, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to pick May. What now? And they were like, oh, okay, these guys actually understand how to play this map. We may have messed up here. They are that kind of team that you cannot catch by surprise. And it's because they play so much. Like, really, they're this Korean mindset approach to the game as well. So they have a really, really healthy understanding. So they move forward here as well into that last game there as well. I mean, they're going to be taking on the winner of Rogue and Reason, which will be happening later on. But like you said, we still have a lower bracket. That is still a thing. But I mean, you know, even for, you know, a team like Luminosity Gaming, I think FaZe and Bringo's await in the lower bracket. And I think it's Luminosity versus FaZe. I'm not really sure. I can't predict too much there as well. But
I'm looking at it.
Like, that's like from the frying pan into the fire, you know, really not ideal.
Yeah, this format's really working out. If you guys want to chime in on if the format is working out, hit !poll. That brings you to GosuGamers.net, and you can tell us what you think of our new format. So far, man, I'm really digging it. And you mentioned something like, oh, they took a Reunited to try to cheese them off them. They clearly don't know. Reunited's been taken to Hanamura many, many times. I think Google Me, which is now Cloud9, took Reunited to Hanamura, like GosuGamers EU Weekly number 3, like way back in the day. Reunited has been tested on every single map, every certain point of time. You cannot throw a curveball at that team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just very, very, very strong. But I believe we are going to go to a quick break here in just a moment. And when we return, we're going to be here with our second set of upper bracket semifinals. It's going to be Rogue versus Reason Gaming, who have already managed to vanquish FaZe to the lower bracket. We'll have to see if they can hold on further.